Hey Judy, what's wrong? It was a cold day, with Christmas songs playing everywhere in the city. I stopped to admire a tree ornament that caught my eye. My husband, his breath visible in the chilly air, turned his head to look at me from a few steps ahead. He smiled softly, his ears red from the cold. I adored the way he looked at me. Nothing. Let's go home and have dinner. I made hot stew for this especially cold day. Sounds great. Laughing, we held hands and walked down the street. From somewhere, a familiar Christmas song reached my ears. My name is Judy, and what I'm about to tell you is a rather strange Christmas miracle I experienced a few years ago, along with the story leading up to it. You're late. Before I could respond, my husband Dan's anger hit me like a wave. Where have you been? I just went to the closest deli, I replied. It was mid-December, and it felt like it was about to snow. His cuss words chased me out into the cold without my coat just a short time ago. Are you trying to fool me? I'm the breadwinner of this household. When I come home, I expect a proper dinner to be ready and served. Can't you even manage such an easy task? He scolded me harshly in front of the dinner table. No hot sauce? How come you're so lazy about it? There's no way to eat chicken wings without it. Don't mess with me. I had rushed out of the apartment with my wallet and came back with the hot sauce, gasping for breath. His irritation only grew. Deli? Are you crazy? Isn't it cheaper to buy at a supermarket? He pointed at the hot sauce and rolled his eyes. You have no sense of budgeting. I couldn't resist retorting, of course, I buy groceries at the supermarket, but it's far away. I told you earlier, I forgot to buy it today. Anyway, you get upset if the food gets cold. That's why I went to the closest shop. I did forget to add it to my shopping list and had run out, but I was sure the chicken wings tasted fine even without it. I didn't understand why he was so angry about it. His anger didn't cool down at all. Where's your apology? I did apologize earlier, didn't I? What's with your attitude? You're the one who. My retort added fuel to the fire, and he continued throwing his temper at me for another hour. Who wants such stale food now? In the end, he flipped the plate of chicken wings and went out to get dinner elsewhere. A few days later, I went to clean my parents' house, which was up for sale, and stopped by to visit an old lady in the neighborhood whom I called Grandma. Listen, Roma, your prediction was off for the first time. I didn't predict anything, Grandma, who had cared for me since I was a little girl, said, laughing ambiguously. No way. Everything you predicted since I was a kid came true. If they weren't predictions, then prophecies, I said with a wry smile. Remember when you told me not to go to the mall? There was a lightning strike, and it almost burnt down. Another time, you insisted I go out when I wanted to stay home, and my house got robbed. If I had been home, I would have faced the robber for sure. I still got chills remembering it. The robber was caught later with a knife in his pocket. What if I had been home that day? Grandma's predictions often came true, like she was a real prophet. Hey, Grandma. Yes. Even though she said it was all in my mind or just a coincidence, she listened when my voice became serious. I don't think I would have been prepared for my mom's illness if you hadn't told me. She was my only family, and you gave her peace of mind by telling her I'd be blessed with something special one Christmas not far away. My mom was relieved to know I'd have a bright future before she left me. She told me about it in her hospital bed, and it was a ray of hope for her. Seeing her content about it was a sign of her love for me. That's why when Dan proposed to me on Christmas Day, I thought it was just as you predicted. I met him through a mutual friend. He seemed like a humble and gentle guy back then. But once we got married, he turned into an arrogant husband. Just like the hot sauce incident, he got upset over trivial matters. He complained the food was too cold or the salad was too lukewarm, even though he was the one who let it sit while he played on his phone. He criticized everything I did, from cleaning the apartment to washing clothes. Nothing I did was up to his liking, which made me feel trapped and suffocated. I don't want to go back home to him, I whined to Grandma, feeling a sting in my nose. Now it's almost sunset. Don't you have to go back and cook dinner? She glanced at the sky and rushed me, though I was slow to move. Feeling softly rejected, I stood up lazily. You're going to be okay as long as you stand your ground. Even though you'll have struggles, you're going to be happy one day. You'll have a Christmas that will make you jump up and down in joy. So just live straight and truthfully. God is watching. I quickly turned around at her words that softened my heavy heart. Is it a prophecy? Let's see. I'm just an old woman, she said with another ambiguous smile, baffling me. Let's see if I put more effort. Dan might change. I tried to shift my mood, thinking it might have been too early to judge her original prediction. But then it was dinner, massages, ironing his shirt. Dan's hostility toward me only got worse. It wasn't even a year since we got married, but it became normal for him to order me around. Instead of a single kind word, he was constantly grumpy and overbearing. "Who do you think you are?" he snapped at me one night. "What did I do? You don't have the decency to welcome me back home. Who do you think you were to hang around outside until now? I have to warm up my food in a microwave. God darn you." His menace made me sigh. "I told you, right? I had a co-op meeting tonight. I even left a note on the table for you." "Shut up. That's not an excuse for lazy cooking." "What do you mean?" "I didn't cut corners. I prepared the main dish and sides as usual. If it's not freshly cooked, it's called cutting corners." His logic was messed up. I should be prioritized before anyone and anything. I've been feeding you. You're my wife. You must obey me. "That's crazy," I said, stunned by his incomprehensible demand. "You have no family and relatives and can't live on your own. A scum like you should shut up and just worship me. If you can't, I'll divorce you," he smirked. It seemed to me that he was releasing his stress by making me obey him. "Anyway, give me a foot massage." I tried my best to restrain myself from snapping back at him. He would just become angrier anyway. Most of all, I had nowhere to go in the midst of sleet at night. So I sat down on the floor to give him the massage. My life continued like this until one day, I fainted from excruciating pain in the middle of grocery shopping and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. "I don't understand," I murmured, my mind going blank as my doctor explained my condition. "This virus is transmitted by sexual intercourse. I had your husband tested as well, and both of you have it. You didn't realize it because there were no symptoms. As far as I can tell, you need surgery. I'm very sorry to say this, but I think the chance of conceiving in the future seems extremely unlikely." Dan followed the doctor hurriedly as he left. "I can't have a baby," I repeated to myself. As I absorbed the news, my blank mind slowly filled with darkness. I needed to know more. I tried to follow my doctor and Dan on wobbly legs. "Wait, doctor, Dan." But I froze when I heard their conversation. "So must everyone out there get tested?" "Exactly. They must be treated all at once. Otherwise, there's no point. It keeps coming back to you. Would they know what the test is for?" "Of course," my doctor replied, growing irritated. Listening with despair, I realized the bottom line. Dan had at least 3 girlfriends and was still seeing them. I complained to a picture of my mom in an empty room. I had hoped, even though he's not a good husband now, he might change once we have a baby. I kept Grandma's words about eventual happiness like a good luck charm. But I guess I was wrong. In fact, Dan seemed to only care about his own health. He was diligent about his condition but never showed any concern for me. Having lost my parents, I had a strong longing to have my own baby. I hoped for a happy family with a husband, children, and me. Tears rained down on the picture of my mom in my hands. "Mom," I sobbed, covering my mouth with my fingers. Suddenly, Dan appeared. "What are you wasting your time for? You haven't prepared dinner yet. Here are the divorce papers. This is your punishment for neglecting your master and making a fuss." He noisily entered the room and threw the papers at my head as I sat down. "You are irritatingly depressing. I'm ready to divorce you anytime, no problem for me. You are the one who's going to be in trouble, right? Instead of slacking, do your duty if you don't want a divorce." "I'm not slacking." "Oh wait, there's one more punishment. I'm not giving you living expenses this month." He looked happy, smirking as he came closer. "I'm giving you a chance to reflect and change your attitude. Know your place. If you disobey me, a divorce." When he finished his tirade, he left the room looking refreshed. I stared at the divorce papers, feeling my emotions cool down. "Mom, I've decided." Wiping my tears from the picture frame, I spoke to my smiling mother. "Watch over me." I kept quiet and continued living with Dan for a while. He treated me like a servant and took out his fits of anger on me. I argued back occasionally but mostly passed the days in silence. One day, during another tantrum over cold stew and lukewarm salad, I sighed internally and decided to act on my plan. "If I don't obey you, you're getting a divorce, right?" "Right. If you don't want me to leave you, reflect on your stupidity," he sneered, leaning back in his chair. "You're a bit weak upstairs, aren't you?" What the? He fluttered his eyes in surprise at my reply. What did you just say? You repeat the same thing every time. Do you know what vocabulary is? You only utter the word divorce over and over. Your lack of vocabulary is quite sad. What the heck? Let's get a divorce. It's totally fine with me. I'll be a stranger to you, just as you wish. What the? Are you serious? I smiled and said my farewell. His mouth hung open, and he even forgot to get angry as usual. I've already moved all my necessary things out of here. If there's anything you don't need, just throw it away. Goodbye. I shuffled off the apron I had bought and left. When I got married, I folded the apron lightly, placed it gently in front of Dan, and put the house keys on top of it. I looked at him one last time, then left the house with my pre-packed suitcase. What the heck is going on? He yelled, snapping out of his confusion. I could care less. Yay, I'm free, I thought, pretending not to hear anything. With a refreshed feeling, I made my way lightly to my parents' house where I decided to live again. A year later, the divorce was finalized, yet Dan continued contacting me. You were sorry, weren't you? I'll take you back if you apologize. A wife should. His texts were relentless. But I turned off notifications and ignored them, something I'd never done during our marriage. After much persistence from him, I decided to have a final face-to-face meeting at his parents' house. Why have you been ignoring me? Dan asked sensibly, trying to behave in front of his parents. I've been texting you all this time, but you never replied once. Oh yeah, I turned off notifications from you. Why? It was too annoying. Me? Annoying? Yes, you. So what do you want to talk about? His face slowly turned red with anger as I answered in a deliberately annoyed manner. What's with your attitude in front of my parents? What the heck is wrong with you? He finally shouted louder, but then remembered where he was and uttered an apology that he had never made in our marriage. I thought to myself, wow, amazing. He knows how to apologize. I tried my best to resist the urge to make fun of it and prompted him onward. What do you need to talk to your ex-wife about? Hold on, why are you acting so strange? Aren't you struggling after the divorce? How are you living now? He sounded concerned, yet he never came to check on me even though he knew where I was. I didn't mind getting back together if that's what you want. Doesn't that make you happy? He asked. Not at all. I almost laughed at his overconfidence. It doesn't make me happy and doesn't help me in any way. I'm making enough income to support myself. Besides, the living expenses you gave me were only $500 a month. It wasn't enough for what we needed. I mean, you're the one struggling to manage without me, right? The cost I was covering for you is gone, and I'm much more comfortable being alone now. I don't understand the point of getting back together after being free. Puzzled by my casual attitude, he remained unsettled in front of his parents. Listen, Dan, stop acting like a kid who got caught doing mischief and calm down. There's no point in trying to make yourself look good. They know all your secrets. What secrets? I sighed and decided to reveal the truth. You're mistaken about me. I wasn't just a housewife. I told you that I used to live abroad because of my late father's work, right? I used the German I learned back then to translate at home. There were many materials on the bookshelves, you know. I didn't care for those. Those were materials and manuscripts before translation. You never touched them since you had no interest, right? Thanks to that, I was able to hide some equipment to record you. Wait. He was stunned by the word recording. It was his father who presented the evidence. See, all your secrets, like how you used to treat me, are out now. Your parents were in tears watching this and apologized to me. They are ashamed to have raised a son who treated me horribly. Well, being under the spotlight almost made him run for the hills, but his mother grabbed him and made him sit again. She signaled me with her eyes, and I pulled out the papers. These are copies of our divorce papers. There are parts marked with a red circle, which I pointed out to Dan. You know them, don't you? No way. It was understandable for him to be in shock. What I pointed to were the witness signatures, names of people he knew very well. Actually, there wasn't enough space. You had more than 2 girlfriends, right? Wait a sec. No more waiting. Before I could continue, a resentful voice echoed. You never told us about the STD. We only had a relationship with you. That means you brought it in from somewhere else, didn't you? What am I? A fling. Didn't you say we'd get married one day? That's a statement only a bachelor should say. Oh no. We watched the video too. You are a villain, not only to us but to all women. You are the number one public enemy. You are finished. Surrounded by his girlfriends, Dan crumbled to the floor. His parents sighed exaggeratedly. I had a private detective look into his girlfriends and secretly contacted them. Of course, I had told my ex-in-laws the whole story too. The result was this chaos. Your game is up now. There was a strong request from his parents that their son needed punishment. All his girlfriends and I demanded compensation from him. He worked for a company owned by a family member of his mother, so the payments were deducted from his payroll to prevent him from escaping. He was forcibly taken back to his parents' home and under their strict supervision faced a long period of compensation payments. 6 years have passed since then. Hey Judy, what's wrong? It's a cold day when Christmas songs play everywhere in the city. I stopped to look at a tree ornament that caught my eye. My husband, whose white breath clings in the air, turns his head to look at me from a few steps ahead. He's smiling softly, his ears red from the cold. The little girl in his arms also has rosy cheeks. I adore them so much. Grandma's prediction is actually amazing, I murmured. My current husband is surprisingly the brother of one of Dan's girlfriends. I hit it off with the girlfriends afterward and sometimes hang out with them. I met him by chance, and he gently soothed my depression. It's really a strange story. If it wasn't for what happened with Dan, I'm sure I wouldn't have met my current husband. So that's what Grandma meant when she said I'd struggle but be happy, I mused. Once again, I was amazed by Grandma's prediction. Moreover, after we got married, I got pregnant, which was said to be extremely unlikely. I remember getting sick on Christmas Day and being rushed to the emergency room, where the doctor indicated I was pregnant. I was literally jumping up and down with my husband, and the annoyed nurse scolded us to keep calm and rest. It was a true Christmas miracle. This time of year makes me reflect deeply. I've been hurt a lot by Dan, but now I'm so happy. Mommy, I came out of my thoughts when my daughter left my husband's arms and clung to me in her fuzzy coat. Nothing. Let's go home and have dinner. It's hot stew for an especially cold day. I've already prepared it. Sounds great, yay. Laughing, we held hands and walked down the street. From somewhere, a familiar Christmas song reached my ears.